Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel for the 900th episode extravaganza. And if you've been around the channel for any length of time, man, then you know that when we reach these milestones, I like to do something kind of special. And for 900, I've been thinking about what to do, and I have some other ideas, and maybe we'll use them down the road another time. For episode 900, though, we're going to do something a little bit different. A while ago, we looked at the top 10 fan modes. Well, I have amassed a number of pictures. Some sent to me, some I've had for years, some I just found on the internet, some I found posted in groups. Like, they're from all over, all the internet, all of social media, everywhere. The genius, the ingenuity of a ton of people should be appreciated here. I promise you, none of these, maybe one or two, but honestly, I don't think any of these designs are my designs or my transformations, though some of them over the years I have shown off. I will talk about whether I think they're successful or not, kind of as we go here. They're from kind of all over, different eras, and some of them are more successful than others. But for the 900th episode extravaganza, I wanted to do something really special. So we're going to look at a whole bunch of fan modes. That's right, fan modes. Modes that you can try with pieces from your own collection. That'll be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one hail, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light them up, baby! And hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it'll let you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we offer to you through Teespring, or of course hit the join button right here on YouTube to become a channel member, baby. And yeah, so we're going to be doing fan modes, and there have been a lot, like the Siege Soundwave as a cassette player, or things that have been done with a number of fossilizers or weaponizers, or things that are done because something is put out with a certain mode, but people don't like that mode that much. What I'm about to do here is not going to at all be exhaustive in the least. But what it will hopefully do is kind of show people some of the things that are capable of being done with some of your favorite characters, some of your favorite pieces in your collection, and things that you can try doing yourself. And you know what? Some of them I'm sure you're going to like, and some of them I'm sure you're not going to like. It's just the nature of the beast. So without any further ado, how about we get the 900th episode celebration kicked off? And here we go. Welcome once again to our 900th review celebration. We're going to start things off very simple here. This, of course, is Titan's Return Sixshot. And a fan mode depends on your perspective here. Either this is the fan mode, this, of course, being his submarine mode, or, as many fans have pointed out, the simplest of fan modes possible, you turn this around to give him his giant space blaster mode. I figured the best way to kind of go about this is to start off with something very simple, and we'll kind of work our way up. For example, next we have, again, Sixshot in his Griffin mode. This is his wolf mode with the wings extended. Both of these extremely simple, easy to do, but it's what's leading us in. Obviously, what we cover here today will not be exhaustive. There's a billion possible fan modes of a billion possible characters, but this is just intended to give you a few kind of key ideas for some key characters. So starting things off real easy there with our buddy Sixshot. And next we move into the power of the primes. First up, thanks to Micheal, we have Grimlock with still his dino head over his robot mode body. So if you want Grimlock with kind of his T-Rex head, it's very easily accomplished. This is, again, a strange, simple little fan mode. But we get a little more interesting with this offering from Jeffrey. This is Volcanicus. And incorporated in Volcanicus, as you can see kind of behind the head, we have Slash. This time Slash is incorporated not as a chest piece, as many have done, including myself, but as a backpack. And not only do we have Slash incorporated as a backpack, but we actually have two of the, I guess, little pretender shell guys that turn into the cannons. I think it's the Micronus and the Vector Prime one, actually. And they are attached on the shoulders, so that we actually have Volcanicus now with shoulder cannons. A little bit more involved. Still a simple fan mode, but a little bit more involved. And sticking with power of the primes, we look at Rodimus Prime next, and a lot of people wanted him to be able to have the smaller robot like man his battle station mode. This is a version of his battle station mode. Pardon the resolution. I tried to clean it up as best I could. I actually take a look at this mode more in depth way back in episode 355 and how to transform it into this mode. It's actually pretty easy. A lot of it has to do with the orientation of the legs. I got this mode from Wesley. I don't know where he got it from, but it's a pretty great mode. Now, arguably, it might be obsolete in light of the new Kingdom Rodimus Prime, who I also looked at and recently assessed. It was pretty long because I wanted to give it due diligence in episode 898. But if you're sticking with the power of the primes, this is actually a fairly nice way to pull it off, and it works with Rodimus Unicronus as well. Next, let's talk for a moment about the God Ginrai. I don't know if you want to call it the set. I actually have the Magnus Prime and the LG-42 God Bomber connected. This is a back-on view of how to do the lower winged mode. It is more of a like G1 original sort of lower winged alt mode instead of the official higher winged alt mode. It is a bear to pull off. To be fair, LG-42 is a bear to transform. Now, I looked at the steps on how to do this in episode 382. It is a nuisance to get there, but I do find once it is done, it A, looks better, and B, I find the stability to be a little bit better than the official configuration, but that's just me. Have you noticed that a lot of these stick with like the Prime Wars trilogy characters? There's a lot of things that were actually able to be done with them. Case in point, we have the Autobot clones. They were recently re-released. A lot of people asked me, hey, can they go together? Well, sort of. In this case, I really configured Cloudraker so that he was able to attach on the top to Fast Clash or Fast Lane, whatever name you want to use. It is okay. It is somewhat precarious. It doesn't hold the best, but it holds all right to give a combined flying mode and driving mode. Kind of neat. I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly now how it was done, but I did look at the clones, a couple of times over the years, so it's probably there somewhere. I give you the image so that you can decide how to kind of attach yours yourself. Speaking of Prime Wars, we go right back now to Combiner Wars. This is a fan mode base mode for Ultra Magnus. Now, this isn't my picture. I just happened to find this one on the internets. But this is the mode that I use when I kind of set up my Ultimate Autobot base and I put the trailer of Ultra Magnus in a base mode. Now, to be fair, because I have the kind of Perfect Effect 17 or the KBB KO of it, I can take the cab off and kind of be its own, white Optimus Prime, Ultra Magnus type of thing. And his trailer can actually serve as armor or as base. So this is very similar to what my base mode that I use. Like I said, when I do my Ultimate Autobot base, it's not that hard to do. You're basically kind of splaying out the legs and splaying out the kind of chest piece. The arms go up as spires, I suppose, and really you're just taking the outside of the leg and sort of angling it up so that it looks like, I don't know, a windbreak, a shield, something along those lines. Simple mode, but effective nonetheless.
Next, we have something a little more recent with Cyclonus as a helicopter. Now, it looks like the blades that are used are those of the Generation Springer with probably some purple paint. This was given to me by Rob, and he was looking to kind of see what the Kingdom Cyclonus would be like as a helicopter as an homage to the Unicron trilogy Cyclonus. Actually, with the nose left in and the arms kind of not quite transformed correctly, I think this is fairly successful. Like, I think that this is an okay looking helicopter. How about a few homages to G1? This, of course, is the Siege Ironhide. I assume you can also do this with the Earthrise version, if you're so inclined, or the Ratchet for that matter, where you basically leave the vehicle half transformed. You take the arms out and you flip the legs down without kind of extending the body and the waist and the hips, and you angle up the windshield basically. But this looks very G1 accurate to the G1 toy, if that's what you're going for. Why you would go for that, I don't know, but it is an option and it's a nice little Easter egg as well. What about our buddy Perceptor? This is the Reveal the Shield Perceptor. Now, granted, we've had the Titans return and we have the upcoming, as of this recording, Studio Series 86 that will actually give us the microscope mode and even the kind of tank mode. But before any of that, there was the Reveal the Shield, and some people still opt to use the Reveal the Shield. Here is one option. And here, along with our buddy Trax, we have another option. Now, this one is the one that I actually do. I find this microscope mode more successful for the Reveal the Shield Perceptor than the actual half-track mode. Beyond that, what about Siege Megatron? We know he turned into a tank, but a lot of people are very stuck in G1, as am I most of the time, and they want him to be able to be a handheld blaster of some sort. This is one version of it. I have seen 5 or 6. Our buddy Blue Raccoon actually did a version as well that I believe is different from this yet again. There's a lot of ways to configure the legs and the arms straight forward with the kind of cannon barrel that makes this into a handheld blaster. Speaking of handheld blasters, what about Siege Shockwave? Now, here is another idea that you can do using parts of Shockwave to kind of more mimic his original mode. I did, in my Shockwave review, a version of him kind of as like a ground-mounted cannon type of thing that more resembles his original alt mode. Again, it too is a fan mode, but it is different from this one. So there's a lot of options. I'm not a big fan of him having those armor bits, but if he has them, then you might as well find a good way to. Now, if we're going to be talking G1 alt modes, nobody has a more iconic G1 alt mode, arguably, than Soundwave. And though we've gotten him in many forms, everybody always tries to find an approximation of that G1 alt mode. Case in point, with the Fall of Cybertron Deluxe and Voyager, you could pull off a Cybertronian-looking version of his cassette player. This is an approximation of it. I've done it with the Voyager one as well. More recently with the Siege, because we had a spaceship mode and an aircraft or I guess spacecraft mode, we didn't have the kind of cassette player mode. Here is one option. Actually, I'm going to show a couple of options here. The first one that I showed is most successful if you add in the Shockwave Labs upgrade set. It allows the arms to actually push back, and it's actually very successful. The second one doesn't need anything extra. It's a little more of a stylized mode, but it definitely works. And kind of finally, in terms of G1 homages, we have Fortress Maximus. When we got the Titans Return version, one of the things that people complained about the most was the orientation of the legs. They're supposed to be up. They're supposed to look like towers. So a lot of people have done something much like this to pull that off. I actually, not only like this, but I like the fact too, and this isn't so much G1, but I like the fact too that you can do a mode that really sort of connects Fortress Maximus and Skylynx, and I think it looks really good. It looks something like this. This is one option. For me personally, I have always wanted to put him with Metroplex, and when I finally got the Fortress Maximus, I did put him with Metroplex. This was a very early image. My Ultimate Autobot base has advanced a lot from this since then. I like to have one leg splayed out, the other leg up. I just find it makes the Fortress Maximus base look a little more dynamic. So here is kind of a G1 version all the way now to my sort of stylized version of this guy. And then we get to something like Reflector. Now we're going to start to get a little bit more creative here now. This Reflector I have heard called a one reflector camera mode, and I could see that. And some people have said this is Reflector if he was like with a Soundwave type of cassette player mode. I can also see that. So it depends on how you want to interpret this. Like I said, we're about to get a little bit more interesting and creative and outlandish now. By the way, I want to thank Richard for his photo of the Fortress Maximus and Skylink's combination, along with Cog in there too. Might have been a couple of others. That looks fantastic. As well as Kyle for the fan mode for Reflector, and Steve for this. It is Soundwave as a microscope. Kind of wild, but you know what? It works. Like, I think this is really convincing. Every bit as convincing as Perceptor. And what I'm going to call a fan mode, this photo is from Andrew, and I don't know if it's official or not. I know a lot of people did it. And as you can see, of course, it is Die Atlas and the whole gang, along with Twin Twist and Topspin added in as well. I have done this. I found it to be somewhat precarious. A lot of people have said that theirs is really solid. I guess it depends on the tolerances of your, set of these guys. But I'll say this. It does give you an enormous kind of, I'll call it space plane mode. It's really impressive to see. Okay, so some of the next batch from Jacob, Benedict, Michael, and Ray gets a little bit weird. First off, we have the wheelchair mode, it's called, for Generation Sandstorm. I don't really think that it fits here. I mean, it should have 4 tires to be a wheelchair, but I get it. It's some sort of a seated wheel thing where you take basically his backpack, put it down, and fold in the tires. Then we have what I'm going to call Rust Bucket Gerwalk, where we take the Sparkless Seeker, who I have named Rust Bucket. You kind of leave his arms and legs out with his body as the car. Then this one is kind of well known, where you sort of combine 2 overlords together to give you like we'll call it a super overlord. This is gigantic, surprisingly solid, but it is huge. Next, we have kind of a number of, I'll say, alt modes, where I don't even know really where to begin with this. So you have the chest of like Jetfire, Skyfire there, kind of turned around. So you got that going on. Beyond that, you can see this like huge bunch of brunts together as like a very tall combiner, the height almost of Jetfire. And you can also see that we've taken what I'm going to say is probably Z-Tar, and maybe Z-Tar with the trailer. I don't know. Maybe it's a couple of Z-Tars, along with some of the weaponry of the Siege Ironhide. Then the next one, I don't know these characters. I want to say Beast Machines, maybe Unicron Trilogy, but I think it's impressive that they can combine together. I don't think they're intended to. And then next we have really what I've seen before. It is supposed to be an homage to the Rocket Base mode, using parts of the Siege Omega Supreme. I think it's pretty successful, even though we did get an official Rocket Base mode as one of the Amazon exclusives later, and another homage through Skylinks. But this is pretty cool. I even think there's a toy hack set that is intended to kind of go with it, so that Countdown sort of has a place to be. And then finally, what I'm going to call a Gerwalk mode for Skytread or Flywheels. If you prefer that name, both parts are still together, but the plane stays as the plane. And next up, from MCL Tannen on Twitter, he and I were discussing this. It was a flight mode that he came up with for the Kingdom Galvatron. A lot of people know, of course, that the Kingdom Galvatron is infinitely better than the Titan's Return one, but some people said that they did miss him having a flight mode. It was just nice to have that third mode. Well, here is an option. If you have a Kingdom Galvatron and you are inclined to give him like a flight mode, this is a good way to go. It's as convincing as the Titan's Return one ever was. And perhaps one of the most versatile molds to come along in a long time, Super Megatron. Eugene gives us here what looks like an alternate flight mode, perhaps a dragon type of mode, and an armored car, which I kind of dig. Like, it looks a little more sleek than the tank mode. I think I like this maybe even better. When I did the review, I said that the kind of ways you can customize this guy into different alt modes is almost endless. So I dig all of this as well. Even the smallest of the small can kind of get in on the game. The first picture here is from Timbata. I hope I'm saying his name right. It seems to be a bunch of third-party offerings. I want to say New Age is in here, of different Legends characters. Most notably, you have Optimus's trailer there, which is opened out. But you can see that we have what looks to be Onslaught's trailer, at least, set up to be part of the same base, and Blastoff is there as a shuttle to take off. We even have some blasters there as a defense mechanism. On the other side of Optimus's trailer, I'm not sure what we have set up, but it's definitely set up again as a defense embankment. Besides that, from our buddy Ken, we also have a number of the Micromasters that came out in the War for Cybertron trilogy line. I think the base here is Airwave. If you look, you can kind of see Airwave underneath, but we have the shuttle set up along with what looks to be a part of like the ironworks that comes with the base that was part of the Amazon set. It's arguably an alternate setup to the rocket base mode, but while it's definitely more concise, this looks like an impressive big burly vehicle mode. I don't know if it's supposed to be one thing or count as a base, but any way you cut it, this is very compact and kind of cool and eye-catching at the same time. And who doesn't like a combiner? We all like combiners, right? Well, first up here we have the King Poseidon set. I guess you could do this with God Neptune as well. And it's kind of a four-legged sea creature thing. Like, it's big. I mean, it's not our usual robot mode, but all the guys, I think, are there. And I believe all the accessories have been incorporated. This was provided to me by Jacob. As well, he provided this. Perhaps the ultimate in beast combiners. This would be I'm going to say the oversized Nero Rex as a griffin. I think this is so cool. I don't know how solid or secure it is, but this is so cool. The heft, the weight, the presence has to be awe-inspiring. And speaking of combiners, thanks to Zach, this is going to be our top off to looking at all of these. I have said since 2019, since the start of like the weaponizers and fossilizers, that they are the most kind of customizable characters and things. You know, they're like building blocks done as Transformers. And you know what? Here is an example of what you can accomplish with some ingenuity and some creativity. I mean, you want to talk about ultimate armored up Megatron? Man, oh man, this is absolutely wild. Hyper creative, but absolutely wild. I love these fan modes. I'm not creative enough to come up with them, but I love to show them off when I get the opportunity. And what better time to do it than in episode 900?
And here we are once again, and there you go. So like there was a lot of options there. Things that people have done, for example, with the Siege Megatron to give him like a blaster type of mode, or with Shockwave. There have been fan modes over the years for everything from Broadside's plane mode. As a matter of fact, when I reviewed Broadside, I specifically done the an alternate plane mode because I liked it better. There have been times that I've done certain fan modes, for example, with Overlord. If you look at Universal Collision, I've done things with him where both pieces are kind of kept together to make him into like a bigger ship. So sometimes it's the creativity and ingenuity of people that inspires us to even try our own things. It's why I do stop motion, and I've started right from the very beginning to show you guys where I began to where I'm to now to where I will one day evolve. It's why I have done a lot of things with custom work, because if I can do it, you can do it. And it's the same thing here with fan modes. The creativity and ingenuity of an awful lot of people is something that can make this fandom and this hobby a little bit more enriching for us all. Let me know some of your favorite fan modes. I appreciate you guys coming by for the 900th episode celebration. It was something a little bit different. I hope that it was interesting to you. What can I say? Thank you, each and every one of you. It means more to me than you'll ever know that you take some of your time to be here. Anyway, with that being said, as I was saying, let me know some of your favorite fan modes. I appreciate you coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we offer to you through Teespring. Or, of course, hit the join button right here on YouTube to become a channel member. While you're at it, hit the subscribe button. Stick around. Have some fun with us. Don't forget that somehow, some way, you right there, you do make a difference, man. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams at the stop motion premieres or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.